Massive movement this week. Friday, we have pumped 3.4% when having a look at the yields. If you have a look at each individual candle from the beginning of the week, we can see that we had a massive down close candle, which traded right through to, and you can say to and through, because you have a liquidity void right there. You could also class that as a new week opening gap. That's the gap between the Friday's close and the Monday's opening. We did wick into it, but we never had a candle body closure inside of that void right there. We traded all the way down to through the lowest displacement weekly fair value gap. Let's have a look at the weekly time frame so we can have a good understanding of what price action has done and why and where I derived the fair value gap from. So these are the lows, these are the highs. We topped out at this upper and lower displacement fair value gap, specifically at the consequent encroachment before rejecting. We have a bearish down close candle, which we spiked into the consequent encroachment of the weekly fair value gap that's located between 4.497 and 4.435. 4.433, my apologies. We've been pretty much range bound, taking lows, taking highs with this candle here and lows here. We've been relatively range bound if we have a look at it from a macro perspective. But then when we have a look at it from a daily time frame, we can see that high highs. So let's zoom out quickly. We've been bullish, right? Low high, high high, 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 lower high, high lows, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. Obviously, these are short-term movements in price, right? But then we've obviously taken buy stops right there, traded into a bullish daily order block before selling off and taking sell side, right? And the people who would be placing their stops down below here would be swing traders, not predominantly scalpers. So if you have a look at it from that perspective, we sold down into the weekly buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency, which is prevalent on a weekly time frame, which is right there. All right. We spiked into that area, rejected, closed inside of the fair value gap. And on a daily time frame, we're looking to shoot to 4.459. That would be my next point of interest. We closed inside of the fair value gap, which gives me a strong indication. Not only that, but we took out 3 days worth of buy stops. So those who potentially thought that the yields were going to continue to melt down into 4.197, which I'll be honest, I did believe that we're going to continue down there, at least spike before turning around. I wanted to see something like this. I wanted to see a hammer formation, but I never got that. I wanted to see a hammer, then this, because we're taking sell side out, spike, then we run. This, don't get me wrong, I was expecting this to pan out, but I never thought that we were just going to take off from this weekly area. I thought we were going to close in this area, but the manipulation would run all the way down into the 4.197 area, the 4.19 to 18 area, then take off. But we never got that. All right, we never got that. So I am looking at 4.459 as my next point of interest, with 4.497 being an area for the week that price action could trade up into. The Fibonacci's from the swing highs. So let me make this 4.638. Make sure this is accurate. 4.6. Make sure this is nice and accurate. 275. So 4.457, that's my updated projection, which just so happens to be in and around the consequent encroachment of the weekly fair value gap. So that is my next point of interest. I'm just going to be having a look at the daily. We're going to briefly have a look at the intraday timeframes, but I'm not going to be covering a lot of analysis on that. This is a bias for the week. The narrative, obviously, is when we have a look at the intraday timeframes, the 1 hour, 15 minutes, etc., but we won't be covering that in this recording. Nice. So I'm looking at something like this. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up. I'm gonna post this on Twitter also, and this will be my bias for the week. So I'm expecting 4.457 to be met by the end of the week. And yes, I know it's a low-hanging fruit, but my strategy is to aim for 5 handles. And if I'm able to get anything more than 10, I'm happy, So I'm gonna move on, and yeah, it's good. It's looking good so far.